Some NBA fans think Lauri Markkanen only became great once he got to Utah, but in FIBA basketball, he's been a monster for years. Just recently, he casually dropped 48 points in 25 minutes during a Eurobasket prep game playing for Finland.
Crossailee, heittää stepbackilla, kolmosen larviin, 40.
See, here in Europe, we have a saying. People will remember you more for what you do in your national team jersey rather than anything you accomplish with your club. And that's the phenomenon I'll be talking about in this video. Why do some guys who are just NBA role players turn into demigods in FIBA? First of all, over the last 10 years, we've had plenty of examples. I'm not going to talk about guys like Luka, Giannis, or Jokic in this video. It's obvious that their level of talent translates incredibly well back to the game style they grew up with. Instead, I want to focus on 4 names that represent this pattern perfectly. Lauri Markkanen, Patty Mills, Dennis Schröder, and Bogdan Bogdanović. Different countries, different playing styles, different NBA careers, but all of them have that same ability to suddenly become the guy when the game switches from the NBA rules to FIBA rules. Let's start with Markkanen, because the numbers this guy puts up in FIBA are just absurd. In Eurobasket 2022, he averaged 27.9 points per game, second best after Giannis in the entire tournament. Against Croatia in the round of 16, he scored 43 points on 19 shots. That was also in a win that sent Finland to the quarterfinals for the first time in history. And that game wasn't just about scoring either. It was shot creation, it was taking over possessions with zero hesitation, and it was doing all of it without the spacing or pace we see in the NBA. What's crazy is that this version of Markkanen existed before Utah. Back in his Chicago, Cleveland days, he wasn't given the same offensive freedom in the NBA. In fact, right before the Eurobasket in 2022, he finished his NBA season with the Cavaliers with 14.8 point and 5.7 rebound averages. Next year, those numbers blew up to 25.6 points and 8.6 rebounds, earning him the Most Improved Player award. So, in a sense, that Eurobasket where Finland ran the offense through him every single possession kind of showed his true potential to Utah. Next up is Patty Mills. He might actually be the most famous example of the FIBA God mode transformation. In the NBA, he's been the perfect role player. A great shooter, smart mover, comes off the bench and hits timely threes. But for Australia, he plays like prime Allen Iverson at times. For example, at the Tokyo Olympics, he averaged 23.3 points per game, third best result in the tournament, and in the bronze medal match against Slovenia, he exploded for 42 points and 9 assists. The Boomers don't just use him as a shooter, they let him run pick and rolls, attack mismatches, and be their offensive engine. Even a decade before Tokyo, in the 2012 London Olympics, Mills led the tournament in scoring with 21.2 points per game, ahead of names like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kobe Bryant. Just think about it, the guy who would have been like your 7th or 8th man in the NBA led the Olympics in scoring. That's the power of FIBA, shorter 3-point lines and a role where you have the greenest of green lights. By the way, if you're into these kind of videos where we look at the NBA through our international perspective, make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. We want to make the best possible videos for you guys, and we would really appreciate it if you actually became a subscriber. And this way you won't miss out on the Eurobasket content that's coming in a few weeks. Now back to the video. Dennis Schröder is another name who just thrives in the setting. Now, he's had stretches in the NBA as a starter and even as a borderline star in Atlanta and OKC. But for Germany, he is the captain, the alpha, the omega, the guy who gets every big possession. At the 2023 FIBA World Cup, Schröder averaged 19.1 points and 6.1 assists. Even more impressively, he led Germany to their first gold medals in the World Cup and won the tournament MVP. That's in a tournament with Team USA and Canada, by the way, guys. And sure, he had a nightmare game against Latvia in the quarterfinals where he shot 4 for 26, but the very next game against Team USA in the semis, he actually bounced back with 17 points and 9 assists. He's been doing this for about a decade now. Eurobaskets in 2015, 2017, and 2022, the World Cup in 2019 and 2023. Every summer he puts up numbers. And if you watch Germany's games, you see why. In the NBA, Schröder's explosive speed is his main advantage, but in FIBA, with no defensive 3 seconds and tighter paint protection, he he has to rely more on pull-up jumpers and mid-range creation, which oddly actually suits his game even better as he loves those shots. Then we've got one of my personal favorites, Bogdan Bogdanović. You could say this guy's NBA numbers are solid. Around 15 points per game, good shooting splits, valuable as a secondary creator. But when it comes to playing for the Serbian national team, Bogi just goes crazy. In the 2019 FIBA World Cup, he averaged 22.9 points, shot 55% from the field, and a ridiculous 53% from 3 on over 7 attempts per game. I mean, those are some NBA 2K my career numbers if I'm being honest. And it wasn't just hot shooting, it was running the offense, taking big shots in clutch moments, and being the absolute focal point for opposing defenses. That's especially true during the summers when Jokic was not playing, like the 2023 World Cup where Bogdan stepped in as the clear leader and carried Serbia to a gold medal game. 19.1 points, 4.6 assists, 3.3 rebounds, and 52-42-85 shooting splits. To add to this point, up until a few years ago, the Serbian fans actually felt like Bogdanović was the actual leader of the team, not Jokic. Of course, that has changed now for the majority of fans, I guess. And again, it's the same pattern we've seen from the others. More touches, more responsibility, and a style of play that suits his skill set perfectly. So why does this happen? Why do certain NBA role players look like world beaters in FIBA? First, the court is smaller, the 3-point line is shorter, and there's no defensive 3 seconds. That means more bodies in the paint, less room to operate, and more mid-range opportunities. For guys like Schröder, Mills, and Bogdanović, who are all comfortable shooting off the dribble and navigating tight spaces, that actually becomes an advantage. Second, FIBA rules reward physicality in ways that the NBA doesn't. You can hand check more, you can bump cutters, and screens are set with a lot more contact. That changes who can actually thrive. Patty Mills, for example, he isn't the fastest or most athletic guard in the NBA, but in FIBA his craft and shooting ability make him a nightmare because defenders can't just switch everything without paying a price. Third, and maybe most importantly, the role is completely different. On their national teams, these guys are the stars. They're told to shoot, to create, to dominate possessions. There's no more fit-in mode where you don't want to step on some NBA superstar's toes. In my opinion, this was probably most evident with pre-Utah Lauri Markkanen. It becomes like it's your team, it's your responsibility, and for those competitive guys, that's like flipping a switch. Personally, here's what makes the FIBA gods so interesting to me. Firstly, they get to these numbers in 8 minutes less per game, as FIBA games are 40 minutes each. They're also not always the most athletic, the tallest, or the most physically dominant guys. Usually they're the guys with the right skill set, the right mentality, and a national team that gives them the keys. When you combine that with the different rules, different court sizes, you actually see performances that make you forget what the NBA status of all of these guys are. And with Eurobasket 2025 right around the corner, we're about to see these transformations happen again. Maybe Lauri goes for another 40-point game. Maybe Schröder repeats as a gold medal leader. Or maybe Bogi goes on another ridiculous shooting run and wins Serbia another medal. Whatever happens, I want to know in the comments below, who's your favorite FIBA god? Also, we just launched on TikTok and Instagram, so go follow us at outside.nba. We'll be posting a lot of short content, and as always, if you like this video, make sure to drop that like there and subscribe for more NBA takes through an overseas lens.